Hi, I'm Patrick Perry. I'd like to show you Higurashi Wikipedia. I'd like to show you. This is called Higurashi When They Cry. This is called Wikipedia. Listen to read out loud. Now listen this.
Higurashi When They Cry, Japanese, Hepburn, Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai, lit. When the Cicadas Cry is a Japanese murder mystery doujin soft visual novel series produced by 07th Expansion that comprises the first 2 entries of the When They Cry franchise. The series focuses on a group of young friends living in the fictional village of Hinamizawa and the strange events that occur there in 1983. The games are built on the Nscriptor game engine and the Microsoft Windows operating system. The first game in the series, Onikakushi Hen, was released on August 10, 2002, and the 8th and final game in the original PC series, Matsurabayashi Hen, was released on August 13, 2006. While the first 4 games carried the overall title Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai and are considered the first entry in the When They Cry franchise, the next 4 games were produced under the title Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kai and are considered the second entry. A bonus fan disc called Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Rei was released on December 31, 2006. In addition to the original series, new story arcs were created in manga form and in video games for the PlayStation 2 and Nintendo DS, in order to expand the story. The original 8 PC releases were released in English by Manga Gamer between 2009 and 2010. 2 sets of drama CDs were produced, one by Wayuda and the other by Frontier Works. Novelizations of the game series were released by Kodansha between August 2007 and March 2009. A manga series adapted from the games began with 8 different manga artists working separately on 1 to 3 of the multiple story arcs and were published by Square Enix and Kadokawa Shoten. The manga was licensed for release in English in North America by Yen Press under the title Higurashi When They Cry, and the first volume was released in November 2008. Following the manga's release in Japan, 2 anime television series, also known simply as When They Cry prior to 2020, were produced by Studio Dean and directed by Chiaki Kon in 2006 and 2007. A 3rd anime adaptation was released as an original video animation (OVA) series in 2009. The first anime series was licensed by Geneon Entertainment in English in 2007, but the license expired in 2011. Sentai Filmworks has since licensed both anime seasons and the 2009 OVAs. A live-action film adaptation of the series, directed and written by Adaro Oikawa, premiered in Japanese theaters on May 10, 2008, with a sequel released on April 16, 2009. A 6-episode live-action television series adaptation premiered in Japan on May 20, 2016, and a 4-episode sequel premiered on November 25, 2016. A new anime television series by Passion aired from October 2020 to March 2021, and a sequel aired from July to September 2021. Contents: 1 gameplay, 2 plot, 2.1 story arcs, 2.1.1 Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai, 2.1.2 Kai, 2.1.3 Rei, 2.1.4 Matsuri, 2.1.5 Kazuna, 2.1.6 Manga Arcs, 2.1.7 Anime Arcs, 2.1.7.1 Go, 2.1.7.2 Satsu, 3. Development. 3.1 Release history. 4. Adaptations. 4.1 Drama CDs. 4.2 Manga. 4.3 Novels. 4.4 Anime. 4.5 Live action. 5 Music. 6 Reception. 6.1 Visual novels. 6.2 Manga. 6.3 Anime. 7 References. 8 External links. Gameplay, edit. Higurashi When They Cry is a sound novel, a variation of visual novel with a focus on sound and atmosphere. 4. Gameplay is restricted to reading individual scenes, during which characters are displayed as static two-dimensional sprites. 5. The versions of the game ported to home consoles additionally feature voice acting provided by professional voice actors. 6. The narrative of the game is divided into separate story arcs, named chapters, which become accessible in a sequence strictly established by the developers. 4. The narration is conducted on behalf of various characters. 7. After reading a certain amount of text within a chapter, playback ends. At this point, the player is invited to save the game, as well as read tips that reveal details of the game's setting that were not present in the main story. The tips may also encourage the player to deduce the reasoning behind the narrative's mysterious events. 4. The chapters of the game are divided into 2 categories: question arcs and answer arcs. Each question arc is a self-contained story taking place in an alternate reality, while each answer arc is based within the same scenario as a certain question arc, and help the player formulate a more accurate vision of the events of the pertaining question arc. Each chapter is assigned a difficulty rating. 8. That indicates the complexity of the mystery. Upon completion of reading a chapter, all previously opened tips and images of individual scenes in the form of a gallery become available to the player from the main menu. In addition, the player can access a feature entitled the Staff Room, in which writer Ryukashi07 discusses and examines the chapter 9, or the Hallcast Review session, in which the characters break the fourth wall and debate about the events of the chapter. Plot, edit. See also, list of Higurashi When They Cry characters. Shirakawa, Gifu, the village used as the basis for Hinamizawa, 10-11. Higurashi When They Cry takes place in the fictional village of Hinamizawa in June 1983. Shortly before then, the main character, Keiichi Mibara, moves to the village and befriends classmates Mayan Sanazaki, her twin sister Cheyenne, Rina Ryugu, Rika Furud, and Satoko Hojo. Keiichi soon learns of the village's annual Watanagashi festival, a celebration to commemorate and give thanks to the local deity Oishiro. Hinamizawa initially seems calm and peaceful, but shortly before the festival, Keiichi learns that from 1979 to 1982, after the festival, one villager would die and another would disappear. This series of mysterious incidents remains unsolved, and is named the Oishiro Curse by the superstitious villagers. With the exception of the 4th chapter, all of the first 6 chapters feature a different scenario showing what unfolds in June 1983. In all of them, the day after this year's festival, police discover the corpse of visiting freelance photographer Jiro Tomatake, who appears to have torn his throat out with his bare hands, and the charred body of Mayo Takano, a nurse in the village clinic. Keiichi, or one of his friends, attempts to investigate the mysteries of Hinamizawa and the Oishiro Curse, only to fall into paranoia and homicidal rage. In some of the timelines, a few days after the festival, Rika's body is found in the family shrine dedicated to Oishiro, and on the same day, a cataclysmic release of swamp gas wipes out the village's population. The answer arcs revealed that each of the preceding arcs were alternate realities in which Rika tried and failed to save her and her friends. As a priestess of the Furud Shrine, Rika can communicate with the spirit Hanyu, who served as the prototype for Oyashiro and is the ancestress of the Furud clan. Each time Rika died, Hanyu would transfer her to another reality. However, the very ending of Rika's life is not retained in her memories when she transfers, obstructing her from knowing the cause of her death. In the final 2 chapters, Higurashi Hen and Matsurubayashi Hen, it is revealed that the village's local clinic is secretly a government institute investigating a mysterious parasite in the village that causes Hinamizawa syndrome, a disease that induces paranoia, delusion, and homicidal rage in its victims before causing them to tear out their own throats. This disease is responsible for instigating the characters to commit murders in the previous arcs, and some of the incidents in the previous years were caused by it. The rest of the incidents were caused by Mayo, who had killed Tamatake and faked her own death. She used the Oyashiro curse as a cover for the incidents. Hinamizawa syndrome manifests in those experiencing extreme stress or those who move a distance away from the infection queen, who releases a pheromone that prevents the aggravation of the villager's condition. The women of the Furud clan have all acted as infection queens, and Rika is the sole remaining member of the clan after the death of her parents in 1981's incident. The theory by Mio's adoptive grandfather, Hifumi Takano, is that if there is not an infection queen, then all of the village will succumb to the syndrome and a mass outbreak of violence will occur. In some of the realities, Cheyenne, succumbing to Hinamizawa syndrome, kills Rika. However, life in Hinamizawa goes on as normal, showing that Hifumi's theories had been exaggerated. In most of the realities, Mayo kills Rika, and the threat of the mass outbreak convinces the government to massacre the village, with the release of swamp gas being a cover story. Mio's motive is to vindicate the work of Hifumi and force his work to be recognized, after he was mocked and shamed by the government and scientific community for his thesis about the disease. After several hundred loops, Keiichi becomes either vividly or subconsciously aware of the previous ones, allowing him to avoid several critical points where various characters would be murdered or driven insane. In the final loop, Matsurubayashi Hen, the group asks Hanyu to join them, and the spirit manages to manifest a physical body. With her assistance, and all of the knowledge and allies they have formed along the way, they thwart Mio's plan, and go on to live happy lives afterwards. In the secret ending, Rika travels back to the past to prevent Mayo from suffering the traumatic childhood that led her to becoming who she was. Story arcs, edit. In the Higurashi games, there are several story arcs. Of the original 8, the first 4 form the question arcs, and the last 4 form the answer arcs. The answer arcs generally serve as answers to a corresponding question arc. Each of the 8 original games for the PC represented separate arcs of the overall storyline. Apart from the main question and answer relationship, the story of the arcs are not directly connected, although a multitude of parallels exist. Noting these parallels allows an observant reader to gain extra insight into the mystery. Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai, edit. The Higurashi, when they cry, Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai, games form what are referred to as the question arcs. These first 4 games of the series were meant to give the player a sense of the world where the story takes place and introduce the mysterious circumstances surrounding the village of Hinamizawa. Since there are no concrete answers given to the questions that the story presents in these arcs, the question arcs allow the player to form their own opinions about the events taking place in the village. Each question arc game contains all of the previous question arcs. Onikakushihen, the Monde Away chapter. The chapter introduces the player to the world of Higurashi no Naku Koroa Nai. The player is shown the simple rural life of the village, the after-school club activities, and the friendships of the main characters. However, things take a sinister turn after the One Nagashi festival, when Keiichi discovers what his new friends have been concealing from him and breaks off from them. Mayan and Rina are portrayed as the villains in this chapter. At the end of it, Keiichi kills them, believing they were about to murder him, before later tearing out his own throat. One Nagashi-hen, Cotton Drifting Chapter. The player should have an overall idea of how life in the village resembles. This episode heavily focuses on the twin Sonozaki sisters, Mayan and Cheyenne, the latter debuting. During this chapter, the history of Hinamizawa and the One Nagashi festival is expanded upon. This chapter's bad events are once again marked by the One Nagashi festival. Shortly after it, several members of the village go missing. Mayan is once again portrayed as the villain in this chapter. Tataragoroshi-hen, Curse Killing Chapter. This episode stars Satoko, who develops a very close brother-sister relationship with Keiichi. Unfortunately, Satoko's abusive uncle returns to the village, and efforts to get his custody removed fail. After Satoko suffers a breakdown from his abuse, Keiichi snaps and murders the uncle, hoping for a return to normalcy, but the exact opposite occurs when more people die before all of Hinamizawa is wiped out in a gas disaster. Himitsubushi-hen, Time Killing Chapter. This episode takes place 5 years before the first 3 chapters. Tokyo police investigator Mamoru Akasaka investigates a kidnapping of a politician's grandchild around the village. The chapter focuses on Rika Furud as being the key part of the mystery, as she is mysteriously able to predict the incidents that happened in the subsequent years. Kurata Oshi, otherwise a supporting character, plays a major role as Akasaka's trusted ally and senior in this chapter. Kai, edit. The Higurashi, when they cry Kai, Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kai, when the cicadas cry, solution, games form what are known as the answer arcs. The last 4 games released in the series were, in contrast to the question arcs, meant to answer all of the questions presented in the first half of the series. These arcs can be considered the solutions of the previous arcs. Each answer arc game contains all of the previous answer arcs. Nikashi-hen, Eye-Opening Chapter. Nikashi-hen is the answer arc corresponding to One Nagashi-hen. The chapter consists of events very similar to those of One Nagashi-hen told from the perspective of Cheyenne. In this chapter, it is revealed that Cheyenne and Mayan had been pretending to be each other in the second half of One Nagashi-hen, and that Cheyenne was actually the killer then. Sumihoroboshi-hen, Atonement Chapter. Sumihoroboshi-hen is the answer arc corresponding to Onikakushi-hen. Unlike Nikashi-hen, Sumihoroboshi-hen's story is drastically different from the plot of its question arc. Keiichi suddenly remembers the events of Onikakushi-hen, and realizes that he had been delusional and mistaken in his suspecting of Rina and Mayan. With this knowledge, he is able to help Rina, who falls into the same trap that he did and succumbs to paranoia and distrust as well. This is the first chapter with a, seemingly, happy ending since Keiichi stops Rina from murdering any of her friends, although the epilogue reveals that the gas disaster still occurred. Minagoroshi-hen, Massacre Chapter. On the surface, Minagoroshi-hen is the solution to Tataragoroshi-hen. However, it answers most of the major common mysteries of the previous arcs. It is told from the perspective of Rika Furud and reveals her ability to travel between worlds. Minaguro Shihen primarily shows Keiichi working tirelessly to end the abuse Satoko faces at the hands of her uncle without resorting to murder. After rallying the town behind him, he is successful. Minaguro Shihen finally reveals that the true antagonist is Mayo Takano. However, occupied by Satoko's predicament, the group is not able to defeat her in the end, so one more effort is needed to seal the story into a happy ending. Matsurubai Shihen, Festival accompanying chapter. With all pieces of the puzzle in place, it's up to the characters to join forces in order to defeat Mayo and stop her from destroying the village. Matsurubai Shihen is a good end, in which the tragic events that occurred during June 1983 in the previous arcs are averted. It also features many fragments that detail the events in the previous years to resolve any mysteries not yet answered. Ray, edit. 3 extra chapters were included in a fan disc named Higurashi, When They Cry Rei, Higurashi no Naku Koro and I Rei, When the Cicadas Cry, Gratitude, 2 of which were newly created. Higurashi no Naku Koro and I Rei was released on December 31, 2006. Sekiro Shihen, Dice Killing Chapter. Sekiro Shihen is an epilogue of Matsurubai Shihen, which takes place 2 months later in August 1983. Rika is apparently killed by a truck and wakes up in a different world, where none of the tragic events occurred in the main series. Keiichi is absent from the village, Rina's parents did not divorce, the dam project was resolved smoothly, Satoshi stays with Satoko and Rika's parents are alive. However, the club never formed, meaning Rika has no friends, she gets bullied by Satoko, Hanyu is absent, Rika is not revered as the reincarnation of Oishiro, and the village will soon be submerged underwater. Rika has to choose between staying in that world or killing her own mother, which will enable her to leave that sinless world. Batsukoi Shihen, Penalty-Loving Chapter. A slapstick dream story in which Keiichi and the Soul Brothers fight against the girls through the club punishment games. The chapter was originally an epilogue titled Atsukuresama, which came with Mika Shihen, but it was deemed too irrelevant and silly and was removed from subsequent chapters. 12. Hirakawa Shihen, Daybreak Chapter. Hirakawa Shihen is based on Higurashi Daybreak. Keiichi and Rina spend time together, until Rina accidentally swallows something during her usual treasure hunting. According to Rika, the seal of the sacred Furazu Magatama pairs was broken, and Rina had one of them. The Magatama holds a mysterious magical powers in which a person that has the red Magatama will blindly fall in love with anyone with the white one. Matsuri, edit. 3 original chapters were created for the PlayStation 2 version Higurashi no Naku Koro and I Matsuri, When the Cicadas Cry, Festival, by Alchemist. Teraimawa Shihen, Rotation Chapter. An alternate beginning chapter, at first glance, this additional question arc is a retelling of Onikaku Shihen. However, this chapter, in fact, contains the events of Watanaga Shihen. After learning the secrets of Hinamizawa, Keiichi decides to ignore everything and enjoy his peaceful school life. This action leads to a tragic series of events. Shion Sonozaki is the villain of the chapter, while Mayan becomes the victim. Mayan survives and is shown Rina's blood-stained hat. Mayan talks to Oshi about the incident, but dies shortly after. The scenario is actually a punishment given when you deliberately try and avoid getting into any of the scenarios in the story, except one, as it is actually difficult to get into on purpose, and makes it clear to the player that they cannot simply avoid the tragedies around them and expect a happy ending. Tsukiyoto Shihen, Exorcism Chapter. Although Tsukiotoshi Hen does not provide many answers since it relates what went wrong in Watanagashi Hen / Mikashi Hen and Tataragoroshi Hen, it is still considered an answer arc. In order to save Satoko, Cheyenne, Keiichi, and Rina decide to kill Teppei. But after the murder is done, Rina starts to act strangely, and Keiichi thinks he hears Oishiro talking to him. Mayan notices the change in her friend's behavior and takes Cheyenne's place to find out why they are acting this way. Later on, Satoko develops Hinamizawa syndrome and kills Cheyenne before killing herself. Maitsukushi Hen, Canal Drying Chapter. An alternate ending to the main series, the chapter name Maitsukushi is a pun on Maitsukushi, marks in a water channel, and Ni Otsukushi, a conjugation of Ni Otsukusu, to give one's all. The pun is known in Japanese poetry such as Manyoshu and Ogura Haikunanishu. After finding out who the real murderer is, Rika and Keiichi decide to put an end to the whole mystery, but they are in a different situation than Matsurabayashi Hen. Before they can do anything, they have to solve other people's problems first. The problems of Watanagashi / Mikashi Hen, Tataragoroshi Hen, and Sumahoroboshi Hen are met here, and all of them must be solved. The arc solves all the mysteries of the series, adds a few new ones, and gives the origins of both Hanyu and Hinamizawa syndrome. The story development of this arc in the fourth Nintendo DS game Higurashi no Naku Koro and Ikizuna has slight differences from the original PlayStation 2 version. The conclusion of Tomo's story continued from the third DS game. Rasen was added to Maitsukushi Hen, but had no connection with the PlayStation 2 version's ending. While there were very few choices in the previous answer arcs, this arc contains several choices that can lead to a bad ending if the wrong ones are picked. Kizuna, edit. 4 original chapters were created for the Nintendo DS version Higurashi no Naku Koro and Ikizuna, When the Cicadas Cry, Bond, by Alchemist. Samutsushi Hen, Die following chapter. The new question arc reveals in Higurashi no Naku Koro and Ikizuna. It seems to be a retelling of Amasurashi with new characters and a few minor differences. In this chapter, the events of Amasurashi play out with the exception of Tomo added to the equation and Akasaka and Oishi being absent, although Oishi is mentioned, resulting in a different ending. The major difference is that this chapter's ending is a bad ending instead of a good ending, like in the original storyline, with Natsumi dying at the end instead of being saved by Akira. Kajiboshi Hen, Silhouette Spinning Chapter. A new chapter in Higurashi no Naku Koro and Ikizuna Dai and Ikenso. The version of Amasurashi Hen is told through the eyes of Tomo Minami, a policewoman that is investigating the strange occurrences happening all over Japan. Akasaka and Oishi are present in this chapter, as well as Tomo's younger sister, who is also a police officer, and another male officer. The chapter has a good ending, like the original manga chapter, but with different events causing it. Natsumi attacks Chisato, one of her friends, putting her in the hospital, where she later talks with Akasaka. After the seemingly unpreventable murder of Natsumi's family, Chisato meets Natsumi on the hospital roof, and after a little struggling, manages to calm Natsumi down and comforts her. Tokihogashi Hen, Untangling Chapter. A new chapter in Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai, Kizuna Rasen. Tomo Manai and her sister make another appearance, along with a new blue-haired girl named Nagisa Ozaki. Oishi Kurado and Rina Ryugu return in this chapter, 13. The chapter explores Rina's past in Showa 57, 1982. Koda Hagashi Hen, Congratulating Chapter. A new chapter in the final installment of Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kazuna Dai Yan Kinkazuna. The chapter explores Hanyu's past as Hirayan Yeso Miru Jida and the origin of Hinamizawa. Characters appeared in this arc such as Rika Furud, one of Rika's ancestor and the Shinto priest of Furud House, who fell in love with Hirayan, and Oka Furud, the child of Hirayan and Rika Furud. Manga arcs, edit. These side stories are original chapters serialized in manga form which supplement the games and partially continue the story. Anasarashi Hen, Demon Exposing Chapter. In Anasarashi Hen, a young girl named Natsumi is haunted by the aftermath of the Hinamizawa disaster. Soon after her grandmother, a former Hinamizawa resident, tells her of Oishiro's curse, Natsumi finds that her own hands have become covered in blood. Akasaka and Oishi also feature in the story. Anasarashi Hen was later included as part of the Nintendo DS remake Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kazuna as Sumutsui Hen, with some changes. Yogoshi Hen, Beyond Midnight Chapter. This chapter is an epilogue of one of the possible outcomes of Tsumahoroboshi Hen, in which Rina burned the school and killed Mayan and her friends. Many years later, in 2006, the lock has been lifted and a group of 5 meet by coincidence, one of them claiming to be Mayan, and get dragged into the supernatural aspects of the Village of the Dead. Tips for this chapter can be read via mobile phone at Gangan Mobile. This chapter was included as part of Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kazuna, Daisankan Rasen for the Nintendo DS. Utsutsukoshi Hen, Reality Breaking Chapter. A prequel to Mikashi Hen. Cheyenne is sent away to the all-girls school, St. Lucia Academy, for confinement. One day, a male teacher's body was found in the school swimming pool and the first discoverer, Mizuho Kosaka, is summoned to the chairman's office to report the details. Cheyenne hears rumors about how Mizuho's grandmother is after Mizuho's life and the girl is taking refuge in the school, so Cheyenne approaches the aloof Mizuho. The chapter started serialization in the December 2006 issue of Compace. Katarabanashi Hen, Anthology Chapter. A collection of award-winning reader-submitted stories compiled by Ryukashi07. Some of the stories have been adapted into manga and drama CDs. Kokoroishi Hen, Heart Healing Chapter. An epilogue to Matsurabayashi Hen where Rika and the others, including Hanyu, go on a summer vacation to heal their hearts, so to speak, after everything they have been through. Anime arcs, edit. Yakusamashi Hen, Disaster Awakening Chapter. The arc was introduced in the second season, airing before Minagoroshi Hen and Matsurabayashi Hen. 14, Ryukashi07 requested the staff to include important plot details that were left out from the first season so as to tie the 2 seasons together. The issue of Hinamizawa's secrets is resolved early in this scenario, allowing the other characters to attend school without further issue. The story is told from the perspective of Satoko as she grows increasingly concerned about Rika, including speaking with Hanyu alone about her own inevitable murder, and her vain attempts to change her fate. Satoko later undergoes a situation containing elements from Tataragoroshi Hen and Taramawashi Hen, from discovering Rika's body to surviving the Great Hinamizawa disaster and dying in the hospital after understanding the secret behind Rika's murder. Go, edit. The anime series Go introduces 5 new arcs that parallel the initial chapters while posing a new mystery for the characters to overcome. Anadamashi Hen, Demon Deceiving Chapter. At first, Anadamashi Hen appears to be a retelling of Anakakushi Hen. However, it is revealed that the events of this arc take place several years after Matsurabayashi Hen, and that Rika has mysteriously been sent back to June 1983. When Keiichi begins to become suspicious that others are hiding things from him, Rika encourages him to trust his friends. Watadamashi Hen, Cotton Deceiving Chapter. Similarly to Watanagashi Hen and Mikashi Hen, this question arc focuses on the Sanazaki twins and their relationship with Keiichi. When Cheyenne and Keiichi sneak into a sacred place on the night of the Watanagashi festival, people close to them begin to disappear. Rika attempts to intervene and change her fate. Tataradamashi Hen, Curse Deceiving Chapter. This scenario is meant to parallel Tataragoroshi Hen and Minagoroshi Hen as Satoko's abusive uncle returns to Hinamizawa. Keiichi and his friends attempt to bring the village together to save her. Nikodamashi Hen, Cat Deceiving Chapter. This arc is told from Rika's perspective as she endures several tragedies in several different worlds. Nikodamashi Hen provides answers to some of the mysteries and reveals the identity of the culprit. Sadakoshi Hen, Village Destroying Chapter. This arc follows Satoko and Rika during the period between Matsurabayashi Hen and Onidamashi Hen. The arc has a large emphasis on the relationship between Satoko and Rika as they grow older and the world around them begins to change. It answers many mysteries introduced in the previous arcs. Satsu, edit. The anime series Satsu contains arcs that provide new perspectives and answers to the mysteries from Go. Onyakashi Hen, Demon Revealing Chapter. Onyakashi Hen is the answer arc corresponding to Onidamashi Hen, showing the events of the latter chapter from the perspectives of Rina and Satoko. After taking drastic measures to ensure her family's happiness, Rina becomes increasingly suspicious that her friends know more than they let on. Watakashi Hen, Cotton Revealing Chapter. Watakashi Hen follows the events of Watadamashi Hen from the perspectives of Mayan and Satoko. Upon discovering that Keiichi's life may be in danger, Mayan investigates Oishiro's curse and the village families that may be behind it. Tatariakashi Hen, Curse Revealing Chapter. Tatariakashi Hen provides the solution for Tataradamashi Hen, following Satoko as she moves in with Teppei and grapples with internal conflict over her actions. Oishi takes drastic measures to investigate the truth behind the curse of Oishiro. Higurashi Hen, God Entertaining Chapter. With the true natures of Satoko and Rika revealed to one another, the two engage in a final showdown to decide the fate of their future. Hoping for a miracle, Hanyu confronts Iue in the Sea of Fragments. Higurashi Hen concludes the story of Go and Satsu. Development, edit. The series is the first visual novel series produced by 07th Expansion, 15. The game director and scenario writer for the series are Ryukishi 07, who also drew all of the character illustrations. Background images were taken from photographs taken by Ryukishi 07, his younger brother Yagasakura, and Kamiya Menendo. Programming was worked on by Yagasakura, who worked on the main structure, For You who worked on the intermission and tips, and BT who worked on the mini-games. The games were designed using the game engine and scripter. The music of Higurashi was provided by various music artists including both professionals and doujin artists, including Dai, the composer of most of the music found in the answer arcs. Ryukishi 07 wrote in 2004 how he was influenced by Kei's works during the planning of Higurashi no Naku Koro Ni 16. Ryukishi 07 played Kei's games as a reference, among other visual novels, and analyzed them to figure out the reason why they were found to be so popular. He figured that the secret was due to how the stories would start with ordinary, enjoyable days, but then a sudden occurrence would happen to lead the player to cry due to the shock value. He used a similar model for the basis of Higurashi, but instead of leading the player to cry, Higurashi wanted to scare the player with the addition of horror elements. In this way, Higurashi wished to be in some way associated with Ki, who he described as a masterpiece maker. 16. In an interview in the December 2008 issue of Yen Press's Yen Plus Manga Anthology, Higurashi stated that Higurashi had its origins from an unpublished theater script called Hinamizawa Teryujo, lit. Hinamizawa Bus Stop, he had written a few years before the first Higurashi game was released. 17. When he decided to rewrite the script and release it, he wanted to build upon the contrast between a fun, ordinary life and something terrifying and out of the ordinary. Higurashi was greatly influenced by the worlds of Seishi Yakumizo when developing the universe of Higurashi. Higurashi had decided early on to design the story so that the truth comes to light by looking at several overlapping stories, though he originally planned to release it as a single game due to initially believing he could finish the story in a single year. 17. The word Higurashi is the name of a kind of cicada. 18. Naku means to make sound, specifically referring to those sounds made by non-human organisms. According to Higurashi the red na in the logo is an official part of the title. 19. Release history, edit. See also, list of Higurashi, When They Cry titles. The first game of the Higurashi, When They Cry visual novel series, titled Onikakushi Hen, was released on August 10, 2002. The second game, Wan Nagashi Hen, was released on December 29, 2002. The third game, Tataragoroshi Hen, was released on August 15, 2003. The fourth game, Himitsubashi Hen, was released on August 13, 2004. The first four games are part of the question arcs, and the following four games, under the title Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kai, are part of the answer arcs. The fifth game, Nikashi Hen, was released on December 30, 2004. The sixth game, Sumahoroboshi Hen, was released on August 14, 2005. The seventh game, Minagoroshi Hen, was released on December 30, 2005. The eighth game, Matsurabayashi Hen, was released on August 13, 2006. A fan disc titled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Rei was released on December 31, 2006. A second fan disc titled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Ho, When the Cicadas Cry, Gift, was released on August 17, 2014, 20, in January 2021, 07th expansion. Announced a remastered version with new music and upscaled titled Higurashi, When They Cry Ho Plus in development for a Q3 2021 release. 21. It released on January 28, 2022 and featured a new short scenario, Mahagashi Hen, originally a mini light novel chapter included with the Higurashi Go BD. It also included a new all-cast review chapter as a retrospective for the franchise and featured discussion of the Higurashi Go and Satsu anime arcs. The 8 original PC games were released in English by Manga Gamer under the title Higurashi, When They Cry, starting with the first 4 games released in December 2009 and the last 4 released in monthly intervals starting in February 2010, 22. Manga Gamer's release of the visual novels does not include several background music tracks and 2 bonus features specific to the original Japanese version, the music room and a minigame. The The 8 original PC games were also released in French by Safran Prod under the title Le Sanglat de Cigales, starting with the first 2 games released together in November 2009. 23. The Japanese company Seams has done releases for iOS devices in Japanese and English. The Japanese version includes all 8 games. 24. The English version is based on the translation by Manga Gamer and as of May 2012 includes the first 5 games. 25. 26. A remastered version of Onikakushi-hen from Higurashi, When They Cry Ho was released by Manga Gamer on Steam on May 15, 2015 for Windows, OS X and Linux. 27. The updates include a retranslation, previously cut music tracks and content, the original Japanese text. 28. And alternative character art by illustrator Kurosaki. 29. A doujin game named Higurashi Daybreak, based on the Higurashi series and featuring an original scenario by Ryukashi07, was developed by Twilight Frontier, the creators of Immaterial and Missing Power and Eternal Fighter Zero. The gameplay is that of a versus third-person shooter, in which most of the characters of the main Higurashi series are playable. Higurashi Daybreak was first released on August 13, 2006, and an expansion pack followed on April 22, 2007. A video game console port for the PlayStation 2 was released as Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Matsuri, When the Cicadas Cry, Festival, by Alchemist on February 22, 2007. 30. Higurashi is the third doujin game to be ported to a video game console. The first was Hanakiso by Hackleworks *, 31, and the second was Melty Blood by French Bread and Ecole. 32. Although Higurashi was the first to have a video game console port announced, its long development time made it the third to be released. Due to the popularity of Matsuri, a second enhanced PlayStation 2 port, known as Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Matsuri, Keikura Sobi, When the Cicadas Cry, Festival, Playing with the Pieces, was released on December 20, 2007. It was sold as an append disc to the original Matsuri and as a standalone game. It contains all of Matsuri's content, in addition to Matsuri-Bayashi-hen from the original games and other bonus content. 33. A series of 4 games for the Nintendo DS under the collective title Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kizuna, When the Cicadas Cry, Bond, with new story arcs are being developed by Alchemist. 34. The first, with the added title Tatari, Curse, was released on June 26, 2008 containing the first 3 chapters from the question arcs, and a new chapter entitled Samutsushi-hen, with its story based on the Anusarashi-hen manga series. The second, with the added title So, Idea, was released in November 2008. 35. The third game in the series, with the added title Rasen, Spiral, was released in March 2009. The final game, subtitled Kizuna, Bond, was released in February 2010. A PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita port titled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Sui, When the Cicadas Cry, Style, and published by Kaga Create was released in Japan on March 12, 2015. This edition features all scenarios from previous versions, in addition to full voice acting, new songs, CGs, minigames and functions. 36. A Nintendo Switch port titled Higurashi, When They Cry Ho and published by Entergram was released in Japan on July 26, 2018. It includes the previous content covered by Sway, in addition to 3 new scenarios adapted from the Windows version of Ho. 37. A PlayStation 4 port of Higurashi, When They Cry Ho was released by Entergram in Japan on January 24, 2019. A mobile phone RPG game titled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Mei, When the Cicadas Cry, Life, and planned by D Techno, written by Taichi Kano and developed by Smile Axe, was released on September 3, 2020, 38. The story stars a new protagonist, Kazuho Kimiyoshi, who visits Hinamizawa in the year 1993. After gaining the power to fight monsters called Tsukuyomi by Tamurahan no Makoto, Kazuho somehow wanders into Hinamizawa of 1983. Adaptations, edit. Drama CDs, edit. Several sets of drama CDs based on the series have been released, mainly distributed by Frontier Works and Weiyuda, 39. The latter's releases differ from other media adaptations in that they make extensive use of the source material from the original sound novels, and sometimes include original songs from Dai's albums. The main 8 sound novel arcs have been adapted into a total of 11 CD releases, published by Higurashi RDS and distributed by Weiyuda and Genion Entertainment. Between May 27, 2005 and March 9, 2012, Minagoroshi-hen and Matsurabayashi-hen have been split into 2 and 3 separate releases respectively, 40, 41. Each chapter is 200 to 300 minutes long and contains 3 to 6 discs. The CDs feature remixes of the game's music and sound effects, and the voice cast members have been chosen by Ryukishi07 himself, though some of them have been changed for the anime and PS2 release due to scheduling conflicts. 42. The booklets included with the CDs contained passwords that, if entered on the official site, unlocked downloads to audio files that adapted the tips for each of the arcs. In response to fan requests, audio tips for the first 5 arcs later became available on Drama CD's name. Append Disc 01, released on December 29, 2005 at Comiket 69, and Append Disc 02, released on October 26, 2007, 43, 44. Higurashi RDS has also released 3 drama CDs that adapted several fan-submitted stories from the Katarabanashi-hen novel/manga anthology arc. The first CD was released on April 25, 2007, the second on May 9, 2008, and the third on April 24, 2009, 45, 46, 47. Frontier Works released several CDs, starting with an anthology piece called Anthology Drama CD 1 on December 22, 2005, followed by a second CD titled Anthology Drama CD 2 on March 24, 2006, and a third CD titled Anthology Drama CD Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai featuring Uminiko no Naku Koro Enai on May 27, 2009. In addition to the anthologies, there have also been numerous character song CDs and DJ CDs released during special events such as at Comiket, magazine subscriptions, and anime/film/game pre-order bonuses. Manga, edit. See also, list of Higurashi When They Cry chapters. There are 8 main titles in the Higurashi manga series, spanning the 4 question arcs and the 4 answer arcs. Each question arc manga are compiled into 2 bound volumes. The first 2 answer arc manga are compiled into 4 volumes, meanwhile Minagoroshi-hen is compiled into 6 volumes, and Matsurabayashi-hen into 8. The manga uses multiple artists between the various arcs. Karen Suzuraji drew Amikakushi-hen, Sumihoroboshi-hen, and Matsurabayashi-hen. Yutori Hojo drew Wan Nagashi-hen and Mikashi-hen. Jiro Suzuki drew Tataragaroshi-hen. Yashiki Tanagai drew Himitsubushi-hen, and Hainase Momoyama drew Minagoroshi-hen. Another manga entitled Kokoroishi-hen, Heart Healing Chapter, is drawn by Yuna Kajisaki and began in Kadokawa Shoten's Compase on August 26, 2008, 48. The manga series was licensed by Yen Press for English distribution in North America under the title Higurashi, When They Cry. The manga was initially serialized in Yen Press Yen Plus Anthology magazine, the first issue of which went on sale on July 29, 2008. The first English volume of the manga was originally planned to be sold in early 2009. 49, but was released in November 2008, 50. There are 3 side stories related to the main Higurashi story, but with new characters. The first, named Anasarashi Hen, Demon Exposing Chapter, is drawn by Enkido and was serialized between March 2005 and July 2006 in Compass. The next, entitled Yogoshi Hen, Overnight Chapter, is drawn by Memori and was serialized between NG Fantasy between 2006 and 2007. The last side story is known as Utsutsukoshi Hen, Reality Breaking Chapter, is also drawn by Enkido and was serialized in Compass between 2006 and 2007. A manga adaptation of Higurashi's precursor Hinamizawa Teryujo began serialization in the debut issue of Square Enix's Big Gongon magazine, sold on October 25, 2011, 51. A manga spin-off illustrated by Asahi, titled Higurashi no Naku Koro en Ioni, began serialization in Futabasha's monthly action magazine on February 25, 2022, 52. Novels, edit. See also, List of Higurashi When They Cry novels. There are 4 light novels which contain additional illustrations by 5 different artists, and 17 novelizations of the separate visual and novel arcs, 53, 54. Each novel is written by Ryukishi07. The light novels were all released as limited editions and not sold in stores. The first one, Nekagoroshi Hen, was illustrated by Karen Suzuraji, Yutori Hojo, and Jiro Suzuki, and was sent out to those who bought the first volume of the manga versions of Onikakushi Hen, Watanagashi Hen, and Tataragoroshi Hen. One needed to send the cutout stamps in all 3 of these manga by the deadline to receive this special short story. The second light novel, Kuradashi Hen, was illustrated by Yashiki Tamagai, Karen Suzuki, Yutori Hojo, and Memori. This novel was sent out to those who bought the second volume of the manga version of Himitsubushi Hen, and the first volumes of the manga Tsumahoroboshi Hen, Mikashi Hen, and Yogoshi Hen. One needed to send the cutout stamps in all 4 of these manga by a certain deadline to receive this special short story. The third light novel, Hajisarashi Hen, contained illustrations by Reito, and was included with the limited edition of the PlayStation 2 game Higurashi no Naku Koro en I Matsuri. The fourth novel, Kuradashi Hen Zoku, is a sequel to Kuradashi Hen and was sent out to those who bought the second volumes of the manga Tsumahoroboshi Hen, Mikashi Hen, and Yogoshi Hen. One needed to send the cutout stamps in all 4 of these manga by a certain deadline to receive this special short story. The light novels were published by Square Enix and released in 2006 and 2007. Kodansha Box released 17 novelizations of the visual novel arcs with illustrations by Tomohi between August 2007 and March 2009, starting with Onikakushi Hen and ending with Seikoroshi Hen. Most of the story arcs are divided into 2 volumes, except for Himitsubushi Hen and Seikoroshi Hen, which are compiled into 1 volume each, and Matsurabayashi Hen, which is compiled into 3 volumes. In September 2010, editor Katsushi Oda confirmed on Twitter that the novelizations would be re-released in Bunkaban editions. 55. The re-releases were published by Sakaisho with new cover art by Tomohi from January 12, 2011 to June 8, 2012. In 2020, the series received new Bunkaban editions illustrated by Sato Yoshimi, published by Futabasha under the Futabasha Junior Bunko label, starting with Onikakushi Hen on October 23, 56. Anime, edit. See also, list of Higurashi When They Cry episodes. The first anime series was animated by Studio Dean and produced by Frontier Works, Genin Entertainment, and Satsu. It is directed by Chiaki Kan, with Toshifumi Kawa's handling series composition, Kyuta Sakai designing the characters and Kenji Kawai composing the music. The season covers the 4 question arcs and the first 2 answer arcs, and aired in Japan between April 4th and September 26, 2006, comprising 26 episodes. Most of the characters were played by the same voice actors as the drama CD series. The series is available on DVD in Japan, France, and North America, following Genin Entertainment's licensing of the series. 57. However, Genin's US division announced that it discontinued all ongoing anime projects in September 2007, including Higurashi on November 6, 2007, 58. Only 3 of a planned 6 DVDs of Higurashi were released, under the title When They Cry, Higurashi. On July 3, 2008, Genin and Funimation announced an agreement to distribute select titles in North America. While Genin still retained the license, Funimation assumed exclusive rights to the manufacturing, marketing, sales, and distribution of select titles. Higurashi was one of the several titles involved in the deal. 59. Funimation released a complete box set of the series in August 2009. However, in August 2011, the rights to the series expired due to low sales. 60. Sentai Filmworks has licensed both anime series. 61. People in Japan, who had bought all 9 of the DVDs of the first season, had the chance to receive a special anime DVD entitled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Gaiden Nekugoroshi Hen, based on the short story that was given to those who had bought the manga. 62. Despite being a bonus for the first season, and having the first season's opening and closing sequences, Nekugoroshi Hen featured Sakai's updated character designs from the second season. Continuation of the series produced by the same core staff. 63, and based on 1 new story arc and the final 2 original answer arcs of the franchise, entitled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kai, lit. When the Cicadas Cry, Solution, aired in Japan between July 6 and December 17, 2007, containing 24 episodes. Sentai Filmworks has licensed the second anime series, 61, as the result of a murder case in September 2007 in Japan involving the murder of a police officer by his 16-year-old daughter with an axe. 64, as well as the Japanese media relating the case to animes such as Higurashi. The latest episode screenings of both Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kai and another anime at the time, School Days, were cancelled by a number of stations due to excessive violence. However, AX, TV Saitama and Sun TV announced that they would be airing the episodes as planned. Later, TV Saitama announced that they had ceased broadcasting of Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kai from episode 13 onwards. Citation needed. Additionally, Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kai had its opening altered when it re-aired. Originally, a bloody bill hook cleaver, as used by Rina, was shown halfway through. At timestamp 055, the opening, it was replaced with an image of a van from the series' fictional junkyard. An original video animation, OVA, series, entitled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Rei, lit. When the Cicadas Cry, Gratitude, was released on February 25, 2009, 65, and is directed and written by Toshifumi Kawase, with Kazuya Kuroda taking over Sakai's role as character designer. 66, 67, 68, 69. The series also started a limited broadcasting in Bandai Channel prior to DVD release. 70. Sentai Filmworks has licensed the Rei OVAs. 61. The OVA contains 3 story arcs, Higurashi-hen, Sekiroshihen and Higurashi-hen, with Sekiroshihen concluding in 3 episodes, and the other 2 arcs concluding in 1 episode each. Higurashi-hen was originally a light novel included with the limited edition of the PlayStation 2 game Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Matsuri, and took the place of Batsukoshi-hen from the Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Rei fan disc. Frontier Works announced another original video anime series, Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kira, lit. When the Cicadas Cry, Glitter. In March 2011, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai, 71, it is directed and storyboarded by Hideki Tachibana and written by Kawase, with Tomoyuki Abe taking over Kuroda's role as character designer and Tomoki Kikuya serving as additional music composer. An OVA film titled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kaku, Outbreak, Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kaku Araburiku, lit. When the Cicadas Cry, expansion Outbreak, adapted from Ryukishi 07's short story, Higurashi Outbreak, was announced in December 2012 and was later released in August 2013. 72, Sakai returned as a character designer for Outbreak. On January 6, 2020, 07th expansion and Kadokawa announced that a new anime project by Passion was in production. Akio Watanabe serves as a character designer, and Infinite serves as a producer. 73. Keiichiro Kawaguchi is directing the series, with Naoki Hayashi handling series composition and Kenji Kawai returning as music composer. 74. The main cast will reprise their roles. 75. The series was set to premiere in July 2020. 76. But was delayed to October 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 77. The series aired from October 1, 2020 to March 19, 2021. 78. The series, entitled Higurashi, When They Cry, Go. Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Go, lit. When the Cicadas Cry, Karma, was acquired by Funimation and streamed on its website in North America and the British Isles, and on Anime Lab in Australia and New Zealand. 79. Following Sony's acquisition of Crunchyroll, the series was moved to Crunchyroll. 80. In Southeast Asia and South Asia, MediaLink has acquired the series, and are streaming the series on its YouTube channel on E1, 81. Before episode 2 aired, the title of the anime was Higurashi, When They Cry, new, and it was marketed as a remake to the original anime series. When episode 2 aired, the subtitle was changed to Go, lit. Karma, and it was revealed that the anime is not actually a direct remake as it was previously marketed to be. 82. The new series ran for 24 episodes. 83. After Go finished airing, a sequel, entitled Higurashi, When They Cry, Satsu, Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Satsu, lit. When the Cicadas Cry, finishing, graduation or death, was announced. The series aired from July 1st to September 30th, 2021. 84. Funimation will stream the series. 85. Following Sony's acquisition of Crunchyroll, the series was moved to Crunchyroll. 80. In Southeast Asia and South Asia, MediaLink has acquired the series, and are streaming the series on its YouTube channel on E1. 86. Live action, edit. A live-action film adaptation of the series entitled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai, also known as Shrill Cries of Summer internationally, directed and written by Ataru Okawa, premiered in Japanese theaters on May 10, 2008, 87, 88. The film is an adaptation of the first story arc, Amika Kushihen, 89. Goki Maeda plays Keiichi, Eri Matsuyama plays Rina, Rin Asaka plays Mayan, Aika plays Rika, and Arena Ono plays Satoko, 90. The film was released in 60 theaters and earned over 200 million yen. At the box office, 91. A sequel, also live-action, 92, was released in Japanese theaters on April 18, 2009 and is entitled Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Chikai, When the Cicadas Cry, Oath, also known as Shrill Cries, reshuffle internationally. The sequel is based on the Tsumahoro Boshihan arc, but it incorporates elements from other arcs and has a slightly different ending. The cast, including Maeda as Keiichi, is almost the same as in the previous film, but the role of Oishi has been changed from Tada Sugimoto to Renosugi. A live-action television series adaptation directed by Toru Otsuka and starring Yuanaba as Keiichi premiered in Japan on May 20, 2016 on cable channel BS Sky Perfect TV. 93, 94, the cast includes the members of NGT 48, 95, a 4-episode sequel premiered on November 25, 2016, 96. Music, edit. Main article, list of Higurashi When They Cry soundtracks. Unlike visual novels created by established companies, 07th Expansion did not create the music found in the Higurashi games. The music for the question arcs consists of license-free songs found on the internet, while the music for the answer arcs was provided by doujin music artists that were fans of Higurashi. Later, a CD album called Thanks/You was released by the doujin music artist, Dai. Many of his tracks were used in the answer arcs. Fans initially referred to this album as the official soundtrack. However, the actual official soundtrack has since been released for the series, featuring a majority of the songs featured in the answer arcs. This 2-disc set is, to date, the most complete collection of songs from the games. The first season anime's opening theme is Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai, sung by Eiko Shimamiya. It went on sale in Japan on May 24, 2006. The ending theme is Why or Why Not, sung by Reka Katakiri. It was released on June 28, 2006. They were released as 2 original soundtracks. The series is composed by Kenji Kawai and the albums were produced by Frontier Works. Volume 1 was released on July 21, 2006, and Volume 2 was released on October 6, 2006, in Japan. 3-character song CDs were also released, sung by voice actors from the anime adaptation, between March 28 and July 25, 2007, 97, 98. The second season anime's opening theme is Naraku no Hana, also sung by Shimamiya. The first season's opening theme includes a hidden message. The unintelligible lyrics at the beginning, Hani Hara Hair High, were generated by reversing the phrase Nijura Nainda, there's no escape. The second season's opening theme also includes a reversed part at the end, Hai Hanen, which was made by playing backwards the reversed bit from the first opening theme. The ending theme is Teishoa, performed by Nina. The first OVA season's opening theme is Superscription of Data by Shimamiya, and the ending theme is Manazashi by Nina. 99. The opening theme for the OVA Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Kira is Happy, Lucky. Doshi by Yukari Tamura, Mika Kanai, and Yui Hori, the voice actors for Rika, Satoko, and Hanyu, respectively. The ending theme, Zendai Mimon Miracle Change, Unprecedented Miracle Change, had 4 separate versions, one by Mai Nakahara, Rina's voice actor, and the others are sung by Yukari Tamura and Mika Kanai, Satsuki Yukino, Mayan and Cheyenne's voice actor, and Yui Horii. The opening theme for Go is I Believe What You Said by Asaka. Except for the first episode that uses Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai by Shimamiya as its ending theme, the ending themes for Go are Kamisama no Syndrome for episodes 2 to 17 and Fukusokusei Entropy for episodes 18 to 23 by IAIN. For the first live-action film, a short version of the film's theme song was released on December 22, 2007, in Japan. Once again, Shimamiya sang the song, entitled Wheel of Fortune, Unmiai no wa. Shimamiya also performed the ending theme entitled Diorama. Reception, edit. Visual novels, edit. Reception. Review scores. Publication. Score. Famitsu. 31 of 40, 100. APG Nation. 8.5 out of 10, 101. Hardcore Gamer. 102, 103. Over 100,000 copies of the original games were sold in Japan by 2006, 104, a feat not attained by a doujin game since Type Moon released Tsukihan. Many fans attribute the game's success to the suspense and horror the novel portrays. Fan-based community boards emerged where fans began discussing their own theories. The popularity of the games grew exponentially as many took interest in their well-outlined script and story, which eventually led the game to be showcased in large gaming magazines with positive reviews. With the announcement of the live-action film adaptation of Onikakushi-hen came the news that over 500,000 copies of the games had been sold. By August 13, 2007, 87, the enhanced PlayStation 2 port, Higurashi no Naku Koro Enai Matsuri, had sold 140,397 copies by October 11, 2007. 105 later console releases in the series, between December 2007 and January 2019, have sold 408,391 copies in Japan. As of February 2019, 106. Bringing total software sales to 908,391 copies in Japan. The PS2 version received a total review score of 31/40 out of the 4 individual review scores of 9, 8, 8, and 6 from the Japanese gaming magazine Famitsu 100. The game was voted the 10th most interesting Bishoujo game by readers of Denjiki G's magazine in an August 2007 survey, 107. Its English language release also received a positive reception from critics. Hardcore Gamer stated that the writing is incredibly eerie and amazingly effective, 102, and concluded that few video games make it anywhere near the skillful story weaving present within the Higurashi series. 103, APG Nation stated that excellent writing and music make for an evocative reading experience. 101. Manga, edit. In Japan, the 3rd volume of the manga adaptation ranked as the 19th weekly best-selling book on January 16, 2008, 108. The 1st volume ranked as the 18th weekly bestseller on June 10, 2008, 109. The 4th volume ranked as the 19th bestseller on January 14, 2009, 110. In the United States, The first volume was ranked 253rd in the top 300 graphic novels sold in November 2008 and ranked as 25th in the top 25 manga sold in the first quarter of 2009 release of ICV2 Retailer's Guide to Anime / Manga 111, 112. The manga sold 8 million copies by 2009, 113, and over 10 million copies in circulation by 2020, 114. Debbie Aoki of About.com stated that reading the chapters in succession as they were presented in its serialization in yen plus made the story easier to follow and built the suspense better. 115. However, Justin Calusiestis of Comic Village disagreed, feeling that this structure backfired. 116. Justin Calusiestis of Comic Village praised the setting for hinting at something much darker. He also praised the structure, stating that the mystery develops slowly to immerse the reader in the characters and then later force the reader to confront the possibility that one or more of them may be the murderer, a decision he described as clever. 116. Critics criticized the manga for using typical characterizations of the harem genre. 115. 116, 117. However, Phil Guy of Pop Culture Shock expressed disappointment that this characterization is brushed aside for the horror as it gave the friendship between characters real depth, adding to the surprise of the plot twists. 118. Anime News Network. Casey Brinza praised the manga for being an effective horror story as it follows an ordinary situation, a harem manga plot, which becomes terrifying, producing an effect that is trashy horror at its absolute greatest. 117. However, she expressed being frustrated by the end of the second volume as the central question remains infuriatingly unanswered, though still felt the manga is wholly enjoyable and satisfying nonetheless. 119. Brinza stated that although the artwork is average, the illustrator seems to know exactly how to transition between the adorable and the abominable, and does so with dramatic, nightmarish effect. 117. Aoki described the artwork as although pander to otaku fetishes, containing generic and awkward character designs, providing overbearing cutesiness that makes the secrets that the girls are hiding behind their smiles just that much creepier. 115. Anime Edit. A review by The Escapist gave the anime television series a highly positive review. James Henley praised the story, saying that each arc is interesting in its own way, but said that watching Kai was necessary to fully understand the story. He also praised the cast of characters, and how, despite having only one main male character, it never falls into harem stereotypes, and how each one has a unique backstory revealed in different arcs. He criticized the dub as poor quality, but recommended the anime, mainly subbed, if one can stomach the brutality. 120. The Anime Almanac similarly praised the story as a unique method of storytelling and the art of the characters, but went to add that the mold design on the girls made the scary scenes less threatening. He ultimately recommended the series. 121. Another review, from the Anime Reviews, was less positive, giving it 3 out of 5 stars, praising the story, but panning the sorrow of the characters and the violence, saying Higurashi is a hard show to watch. While it's interesting, each chapter is progressively soul-sucking and depressing, as the characters struggle desperately to avoid grisly fates, often to no avail, multiple times. He finished the review by saying, Higurashi is interesting and visceral enough to be worth viewing by the more adventurous.
Well, hope like my videos. Hope you like it. Well, maybe that's it.